Hello everybody, it's Martine. I'm an Inner-Self Alignment Specialist and I'm here to talk to you about the Entangled You. This is part 2. Throughout this series there will be lots of impromptus and real life situations where I've been able to see the patterns that have formed around individuals' lives. Part 2 is going to continue with the situation I discussed in part 1. It was about a person who I believe are so entangled. They have been hacked. Let's delve deeper into what I mean by being hacked. If you walk around life so far away from your soul, it leaves you vulnerable. It leaves you disorientated. It leaves you telling lies. It leaves you trapped. It leaves you frustrated. It leaves you in a place of confusion. But the worst thing about all that is that it makes you believe that your life, that you're living, is a reality. It makes you believe the lies. It makes you believe the world that you live in is the right place for you to be. Now, of course, it is your reality, because you are creating it. However, when you're hacked, it is the others that create that world for you, but with your permission. Because you vacated your premises, you left your home. It's like having a squatter living in your house. You can see it, you bypass it, but you just allow them to be in there because now you don't know how to get them out. Where did it begin? How did you leave your soul? How do we ever leave our soul? From my experience, from watching people and listening to people intently, I can see those who have left their soul. So let's go back further and further and further to my understanding of the day that possibly could have happened and why. It starts off from being in a place of the ego taking control of oneself because of jealousy, because of a void, because of a hole that can't be filled. This could start off so early, but it could also start off as a karmic experience. It could also start off as life for you to now decide which way will you go. You've come in already with some data that came from another place, as we all do. We're entangled before we even arrive to some degree. But the knots are never really tight. It's as we walk through life that they become tighter and tighter and tighter. Then we can't move. So the person I wanted to talk about from my experience of observations, as an onlooker, as I've mentioned, it becomes very sad. But then they get to an age where you believe that they should now be making the right choices. What's stopping them from making those right choices? because attitudes become arrogant. Some people are able to create another world when they're out of their own soul. They have to. They have to create another world because they're still in existence, they've still got a reality to fulfill, they've still got a program to live in, they've still got to create something. That's what we're all here to do. We're all here to create. To create an experience. So this person has come to a place of wondering how they can get back, or maybe not even aware that they're out of their soul, which is the most scariest thing. I think one day overindulgence has taken over them. The lack of understanding the human blueprint, the energy they came in with, was out of alignment, out of tune. And instead of it being tweaked back, where our gut instincts and our intuition start to come into play, which, by the way, is very heavily connected to the soul, instead of being tweaked and tuned back in, it's been ignored. What makes people ignore that gut, that intuition? It's the whole. A whole that people create in their mind based on a scenario or a situation which gets out of control because of a need. The need. What's this need? The need for attention. Why would one want so much attention from others when the attention is only required for having it to oneself? Because then the attention from others just automatically comes. It is our thoughts that create our reality. But it's the patterns that fix them and then continue to create the dark or the light, the night or the day, the sunshine or the shadows. And so this person's journey has really got to a place where they either have to completely surrender and possibly have a breakdown in the process, or they'll just continue wandering around like a lost soul. And when the hackers get fed up and bored and move on to somebody else, they'll be left to be hacked again. The vibration will only ever vibrate that frequency and attract that type of person. But to certain onlookers, they may appear normal, because what's going on inside the software has to create some normality to onlookers, because they want something from them. It's like the Venus flycatcher. Looks so beautiful. But then, what attracts the fly is similar to what attracts the human. Food, nourishment, shelter, something you may have. And then they land. They come into your life. They come into that vibration because both need something from each other. But the innocent one, the one that's come to the hacker, gets devoured eventually. Because what they were looking at was not the person they thought could help them. They were going into the trap of the hacker. What situations do we see? What do we see when people bring us into their vibration? This person's a male, so we're going to use the term he, but it can apply to a female just as much. But my real life scenario is based on a man. And at first when you see this person, they are a little bit over the top in their personality, but eyes are quite shifty. Now, most people would not ever see that from the first instinct, because don't forget, they want something too. So they're only looking at what they want, not what the person is showing them. And so all the bravado, the showmanship, the pleasing you but in front of others more than behind closed doors comes out, because of course it's a show. The hacker wants to see who is going to come in. What have they got that we can use? And so that's one thing we can see from these people, and it's so difficult to detect because we all want to see the good in people the majority of the time. So why wouldn't you believe that that person is true and natural and behaving in a way that is in your best interest? Why would you not believe that? That's what they're showing. Well, that belongs to ourselves too, because we're masking things that we should be picking up on and observing, little kind of gestures and eye movements, the detail that we're missing out on, because we're not observing anything but what we want in return. Now, don't get me wrong, life's all about, colliding with each other and helping each other. And so, innocently, you can be thinking, oh, I can get with that person, or I can, be with that person, or I can have a relationship, a friendship, a business relationship, whatever it is, because we all need something in life. We all can't work on our own. We are one. We are supposed to intermingle and collide. Again, like I've mentioned in a previous talk, we are trillions and billions of cells colliding constantly. And likewise are our thoughts. And when our cells collide with the correct enzyme or the correct part of information that needs it to take it a little bit further, it goes in harmony, it goes to the place, it corrects it, health happens in the body. But when it connects and clashes with something that was not for it, that the cell then ended up becoming a distortion and then starts to, take in the wrong information and starts to collide with other cells, that will have a knock-on effect. The same with us as humans. We can collide with genuine people because the hacker has programmed that person to appear to be genuine and end up trapped and entangled in their web. Because of your purity, because of your honesty, because of your non-judgmental, preconceived ideas, just for the fact that, yeah, I like you, I like what you're showing. And if we get together, we can be like the enzymes, we can create good things and healthy things. But then it turns, because then you've gone into the Venus flytrap. You're in that hole, you're in that place, where once it was quite light, now the shadows start to form, the cracks start to appear. There's other people coming in around you now that have also been trapped and have also been hacked and are now playing the role of the victim, creating your world now of entanglement. So these are the effects that people can have on others. They take them away, they take them on a journey, promising them this, that, and this, that, and the other. They take you away on their little escapade, on their dance of life. But it's not your dance. But what goes on with the person who's been hacked? What goes on with their thought processes? How do they cope? How do they deal with this thing? They create their other world, like I mentioned. They create a bizarre fantasy that they are unable to sustain. But they can convince the few who are, let's say, not vibrating at the same vibration of somebody who cannot be entrapped for long. They keep the people around them who are always wanting something from them. So their journey becomes validated because they've got people around who are prepared to listen to their stories. And of course, they can come around because they'll be like magnets. They're vibrating at a lower vibrational frequency. So then this person starts to build on a great persona, an identity to everybody who they meet. Because for short spaces of time, they can sustain it. But then eventually, when a life cycle comes round, we're just going to shake them up to give them another chance to come back and step into themselves. The world starts to tumble. Certain people start to leave their life. Certain possessions start to get taken from them. But they still live in a place of, oh, I can create it again. With new people. They have no attachment. The love has disappeared from their soul. And when I say love, oh, of course they can pretend love, but their actions are completely different from somebody who has true love. They pretend and they give generously, but only when people are watching. They behave in a completely different manner when they think they're not being watched. They disown certain people of value to them because they don't want somebody who is of value to them, because that person who's of value to them will show them that their behaviour is not correct. And remember, the hacker is in control. The hacker has no love. The hacker has no desire to be correct. what if there's a child involved? Or children? Or close family? Are they a danger to that child? I would say yes. Are they a danger to themselves? I would say yes. Are they a danger to their family? I would say yes. So let's go on their journey. Let's see how they got there. So they see from an early age, as a child, that the attention they had is diluted slightly, but normal to everybody else, but to them, part of their vibration is tuned in to a frequency of jealousy. And rather than letting it pass as a natural emotion, they play it like a tape recorder in the mind. The vibration becomes angry, but only inside, because they dare show that, they'd be caught out and be reprimanded by the mother or the father. So they hide it, they hide that anger. Not number one. And the more they hide it, the tighter the knot becomes. So there is an imprint, a knot that is so tight that can only now become a magnet to the next knot. So as the anger resides in an early, young mind, they continue to walk through life, now attracting like for like, attracting angry people, attracting jealous people, because the mirror now is there. The others are going to come in. They're going to come into your world. They're going to create your story. They're going to create your chapter. So chapter 1 becomes the jealous chapter. The intermingling, the weaving of new fibres, new energies, new patterns to be laid down, just waiting for the triggers for the next parts of the chapter and stories. They go through being selfish, yet appearing to help, to please mummy. But mummy doesn't pay attention. So he becomes frustrated and constantly searching. So when you're searching for something, you create the hole. The hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This is where the void comes in. Because the child wants something that they really cannot have, that does not belong to them. All that belongs to the child is the mother's unconditional love. But if that child wants more, because they've come into this world to experience jealousy, and it hasn't been noted from an early age, the whole begins to become a place of darkness. But it's a big place, so it needs to be filled. It needs to be filled with stuff, because that space isn't where they feel comfortable. There's no feelings of love, this love that they're always constantly wanting. So they try and fill it with love from others, but they can never match that love that they feel they need from the mother. But they don't know that that's not the love. Because for temporary moments, it feels okay. But it doesn't last, because it's not the same in some way. So they keep going and going and going. And then when they become an adult, or a teenager maybe, life becomes more like the man who has to show you all the people that they've become in order to get what they want. And slowly the soul cannot survive. The soul cannot survive with that deceit. So it starts to move further away. And as it slowly moves away, the person starts to feel strange. But because they don't know what that sensation is, they learn to adapt to accept that feeling. Not number 2. Now magnet number 2 attracts. But because we've now got 2 is more powerful than 1. The force is now vibrating with not just jealousy and anger, but with acceptance of emptiness. Where do they go from here? They're now going to be attracting lots of strange situations, lots of dangerous situations. But they have to survive, because at this point they haven't been hacked. They're just detaching from their soul. So the ego comes in to help them out, creating a false self, a backup. Where do they go from here? Discover that in part 3. Thank you for listening, and speak to you all soon.